Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Southeast Media Sunrise, dedicated to giving a voice to authors of all genres. I'm your host, Jodi Hockinson. Joining us remotely by phone today is Cynthia Lee De Boer, author of Me, Myself, and I, The Realities of Living with a Prosthetic Eye, as well as the book Freedom from Depression, No Matter What Your Disability May Be. Cynthia Lee De Boer's career as an author, inspirational speaker, and disability advocate is fueled by her medical challenges, relationships, and work experiences. Her first book, Me, Myself, and I, The Realities of Living with a Prosthetic Eye, has been widely received as an honest and much-needed resource. Cynthia believes having a disability does not make you less of a person. It makes you more of a human being. Thanks for joining us today, Cynthia.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Oh, my pleasure. So, can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, I was born with glaucoma and also a narrowing in the aortic valve of the heart. So by the time I was 6 years old, I'd gone through 2 open heart surgeries, 3 eye surgeries. I'd flatlined 3 times and been given last rites on one of those occasions. My parents were told I was going to be blind, retarded, and never reach the age of 16.
Holy cow.
So yeah, living with an expiration date that you always hear, behind closed doors and that sort of thing really does give you a zest for life. And I really wanted to experience everything I could. I was always legally blind in my left eye, but my right eye was okay. And I just felt like, I turned 16, I'd beaten the odds and everything was wonderful. And then at 17, retinal detachment caused me to lose my left eye, which it is prosthetic. Also, writing had always been my love, and I would write my stories, but they were already, they were always somebody else's story. And it really did help me because I was able to kind of step outside myself and look at the situation as if I was talking to my best friend. And because I did that, I kept everything to myself. And writing for me was always just for me. But meeting a complete stranger in an ocularist office is what led me to write the first book. And she was just a scared senior citizen that lost her eye to glaucoma, which led to a retinal detachment. And she was scared to death. Well, I lost mine in 77. So there was no internet. There was no way of knowing anything. So I literally had to kind of learn as you go. Because of her, this lady that I didn't know, I went out and spoke to her. I told her a few things about grief, phantom pain, phantom sight, some of the things that she would experience with a new prosthetic eye. And to see her like literally uncross her legs and arms and turn into this gracious, beautiful little butterfly that was ready to go meet her new monocular world just was the push I needed to stop being the brave little soldier that always kept everything to myself and actually write this in order to help people. And it's been amazing. I've sent 172 copies to ocularists all over the country, and they love it because I think the one thing is people want to know that they're not alone.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, so can you tell us what exactly, apparently they fit prosthetic eyes, but what all does an ocularist do?
Well, an ocularist is also what is referred to as a medical artist. And I'm sure we've all heard of the term glass eye, which eyes are not made from glass any longer. We stopped importing glass from Germany after World War II, and it's a good thing because glass eyes at that point were hand blown. So if you ever did get hit in the eye, this glass would shatter in the eye socket. Not a very good thing. So nowadays, and from that point forward, they're made out of a plastic resin. The ocularist is amazing because, everybody says, oh, it's just white and blah, blah, blah. Everybody has a different shade of white. They have a different number and width of blood vessels in their eyes. Their cornea, the iris is a different color. I mean, they sit there and sometimes use a single strand from a paintbrush to make the iris match the other eye. So they're the medical artist. Obviously a surgeon is the one that does the enucleation where they remove the eye. They also will make what's called a scleria shell, which is something that's kind of like a fake fingernail that you would put on your nail, but this actually fits over the top of a non-working eye that doesn't need to be removed. So that's also something that they do. And I only recommend going to board certified ocularists because they have to go through training and they really care about what they're doing. This isn't something that, oh, I'm going to do this tomorrow and tomorrow I'm going to just whip out 5 eyes. It doesn't work like that.
So does anyone ever ask you if you can see out of your prosthetic eye?
All the time. It is amazing to me. And, I am now legally blind in my right eye as well. And a lot of times when you say legally blind, people assume that you're completely in the dark. And that's not true. Legally blind is 2200 vision or less, which simplest terms, what somebody 20/20 can see at 200 feet would have to be at 20 feet for somebody legally blind to see. And there are so many different types of vision out there, from people that have macular degeneration, which is, the black spot in the center of the vision, glaucoma, where you lose peripheral vision, diabetic retinopathy. I mean, there's so many, and you just don't know. I have what's called Fuchs dystrophy, which is a thickening of the cornea. So my vision, sometimes it's like I look across a steamy shower. So there's so many different kinds. And the other part of my advocacy is to let people know what that means. The other side of it is they want, all of a sudden, it's kind of like talking to somebody from another country that doesn't speak your language. The volume goes up. And I don't know how many times, I'm sitting there and people are like shouting at me, and I was like, that sense works really well. We don't need to damage it too. So it can be challenging for sure, but at the same time, being someone who loves words, the handicap is another word for disability. And a handicap can be an added advantage or disadvantage, and we have to decide how we're going to look at it. And that's a difficult process, no doubt, because you do go through the grieving process. You've suffered a loss. But at the same time, you can win in this. You can find things that make you happy. I'm 59 now. I have not driven a car since I was 40. And for me, believe me, that was tough because I used to race cars. So this is not something that I ever wanted. It's a loss of independence and all that sort of thing. But the flip side of that is that I have to plan my trips, and I plan my trips with people that care about me. And a lot of times your family and your friends, they don't know what to do. But if they can take you somewhere, if they can help you get your groceries or whatever it is, it not only helps you, but it helps them feel useful. It's really a great trade-off when you think about it.
That's such an interesting outlook. That's really wonderful. What did you think would happen after you wrote the book, and what has actually transpired?
Well, I think like all people, as a writer, I had a story blog called Stories from an Open Heart that I started in 2013. And this was fictional and non-fictional stories that I just put online. There was no money exchanged or anything like that. It was just basically to get mine and other people's stories out of, the dusty drawers and, hopefully in the light of day. And I loved doing that. But I never really, once in a while I'd get a comment, but not much. But it was more about the satisfaction of it. When I wrote Me, Myself, and I just figured I'm going to send it out to 172 ocularists. Everybody's going to go nuts. Write it and they will read it kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing further from the truth. There is nothing further from the truth. Even though this is a very niche market, you have to go out and talk about it. You have to go to book signings. You have to get out there and meet and greet and share. And so for me, I seriously thought I would write it, that would be the end of it. And that's not true. I had to go out there and start promoting the book. Obviously, ocularists are buying the book and giving it to their patients or selling it, to their patients, however they choose to do it. But it's more about really not just the people that have the prosthetic eyes, but their family, their friends, and people that don't know a thing about it, because eyes are such a taboo subject, window to the soul and all that kind of thing. I mean, a person will tell you they've had every tooth in their head removed, but they don't want to talk about their eyes. They'll talk about appendix being removed and everything else, but man, stay away from the eyes. It is a taboo. And so I've learned that writing this book means having to go out and speak about it. And from that, everybody wanted to know, well, how do you keep your spirits up? And that led to the second book. So it is, for me, an ongoing process. And everybody has a plan or a purpose for their book, but not a lot of people have a plan on how to get it to the people they want to read it. And I really think that that's, the most difficult part. I'm not one that likes social media. I'll be quite truthful. It's very difficult for me. I've always been a pretty private person. So my Facebook page is used for my books. That's it. I just think that, I've heard so many people say, my friend on Facebook, my friend on Facebook. Well, you may have friends on Facebook, but the majority of them are social media connections. That's what they are.
That is true.
Sometimes I think we give a little bit too much of ourselves away in that manner.
So tell us what your upcoming project is.
Well, like I said, the second book is The Freedom from Depression, and that's a 5-part book, which actually gives my story. It gives a section on kind of little stories that led to a discovery. Then there's also daily tips. And then there's your groundwork, which is actually places for people to write down things about themselves, because usually we're our own worst critic. And then the 5th section is about the different things that people just don't understand about disabilities, about people in wheelchairs and people with hearing problems and all that sort of thing, just to try to educate people. Now, from that, about 20 years ago, my sister lost her son. He was only a day old, to a disease called Marfan syndrome. And I guess the best way to describe that is someone that looks like Abe Lincoln, tall, lanky, that type of person. And these people have a lot of problems with bones, and their hearts usually give out. You've heard about basketball players just dropping dead on the court, and a lot of times it does have to do with Marfan, because that's the body type, the tall, lanky type people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when little Jimmy died, the story that my sister and I shared about a magic turtle kind of came to mind. And so it's a 2-line rhyme book. It's fun. It's just something for kids age 4 to 8. It's taken me that long to find an illustrator that was, I guess, as invested in the project as we were, and it's turning out great. Marfan month is in February, so I'm hoping to have it out and on their site by that point in time. Portions of that book will go to Marfan. But that one is just a fun one. It's not about Marfan. It's about a magical turtle, and that's about it. And it's a way to honor my nephew.
Oh, that's fantastic. It looks like we're out of time. Anyone interested in purchasing her books can log into semediapro.com or visit amazon.com. They are available on Kindle and in paperback. And for more information, you can also visit cynthialdeboer.com. That's CynthiaLdeboer.com. And again, we have been speaking with Cynthia Lee De Boer, author of Me, Myself, and I, The Realities of Living with a Prosthetic Eye, as well as the book Freedom from Depression, No Matter What Your Disability May Be. Thanks again for joining us today, Cynthia.
Oh, thank you so much, Jodi. It was an absolute pleasure, and hopefully we'll get to speak again.
Oh, I feel the same way. Just wonderful information. And listeners, if you're interested in getting your book published, please visit us at semediapro.com and click on the book publishing link. This is Jodi Hockinson, host of Southeast Media Sunrise, Southeast Media Productions. Like us on Facebook at Southeast Media Productions, or visit our website at semediapro.com.